Present the top 100 news of the day in a brief, quick style. I am Samriddhi Goyal. Let's begin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the 13th BRICS summit virtually. The theme under India's chairmanship is BRICS at 15. Intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation and consensus. India had outlined 4 priority areas for its chairship. Prime Minister Modi says the themes selected by India are basic principles of our BRICS partnership. Prime Minister says we will have to ensure that BRICS yields more results in 15 years. The theme has been chosen by India for its chairmanship reflects this priority. The PM said despite COVID situation this year, over 150 BRICS meetings and events were organized. Of these, over 20 were ministerial level. We tried to expand the BRICS agenda. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Minister for Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari jointly inaugurated the emergency landing facility for the Indian Air Force at Satta Gandhav stretch on the NH 925A near Barmer, Rajasthan. Rajnath Singh lauded the Indian Air Force, NHAI and the private sector for joining hands in completing the construction of emergency landing field in 19 months despite COVID-19 restrictions. This is the first time that a national highway has been issued for emergency landing of aircraft of Indian Air Force. This landing strip will be able to facilitate landing of all types of IAF aircrafts. Rajnath Singh said that as India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the inauguration of the emergency landing field not only provides a sense of security but also consolidates confidence among people. The Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Nitin Gadkari, has said that emergency landing facilities will be developed at 19 other places to strengthen the country's security. The Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia has said that a 100-day action plan has been prepared for the ministry and its goal is to ensure transparency and accountability to all stakeholders. He said that 3 main targets have been set up. In Majuli, Jorhat, boat capsized incident of Assam, preliminary reports of the state government said 87 persons have survived the boat tragedy near Nimbati Ghat in Jorhat. The report includes the death of 1 person from Guwahati while 7 others shown as missing till last evening. A population of over 15 lakh in 1,270 villages of 13 districts remains flood affected by Bihar floods. The situation remains grim in Saharsa, Samastipur and Purnia, where the many houses have been washed away in the heavy flow of Kosi, Budi Gandak, Parman and other rivers. 6 teams of NDRF and 9 teams of SDRF are engaged in relief work. 496 people are still living in 5 shelter homes. A delegation led by Union Home Minister Amit Shah today called on the President Ramnath Kovind. The delegation presented the 10th volume of the report of the Preliminary Committee on Official Language. The Election Commission has announced by-polls for 6 Rajya Sabha seats, including 2 in Tamil Nadu and 1 seat each in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Assam, and polling in these states will be held on 4th of October. The notification will be issued on the 15th of September. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan released the National Institutional Ranking Framework Rankings 2021 today, with IIT Madras topping in the overall category. Bengaluru occupied the 2nd rank, followed by IIT Bombay at the 3rd place in the ranking. The rankings have been released under various categories, including engineering, pharmacy, management and overall research. With the administration of 86,51,701 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours, the country's COVID-19 vaccination coverage surpassed the cumulative figure of 71.65 crores. The recovery of 40,567 patients in the last 24 hours has increased the cumulative tally of recovered patients to 3,23,04,618. India's recovery rate stands at 97.48%, less than 50,000 daily new cases that is being reported for 74 consecutive days now. 43,263 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. Active case load is presently at 3,93,614. Active cases presently constitute 1.19% of the country's total positive cases. The testing capacity across the country continues to be expanded. The last 24 hours saw a total of 18,17,639 tests being conducted. India has so far conducted over 53.68 crores cumulative tests. The weekly positivity rate at 2.43% remains less than 3% for the last 76 days now. The daily positivity rate reported to be 2.38%. The daily positivity rate has remained below 3% for the last 10 days and below 5% for 94 consecutive days now. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today inaugurated the camps of SRM Institute of Science and Technology in Chennai via video conferencing. The 30-share Sensex rose by 55 points to end at 58,305.07. The Nifty 50 also inched 16 points higher to 17,369.25 points. Gold prices on Thursday fell by 126 rupees at the MCX to end at rupees 46,912. Silver prices also dipped by rupees 74 at the MCX to end at rupees 64,109. The Indian rupee settled 10 paise higher to close at 73.50 provisional against the US dollar. Brent crude futures, the global oil benchmark, rose to 0.29% to US 72.81 per barrel. The fuel prices in the country continue to maintain a steady streak this week. On Thursday, the price of petrol in New Delhi is rupees 101.19 per litre and that of diesel continues to be rupees 88.62 per litre. The world is putting an unprecedented faith in the Indian economy as more than a quarter, that is 26% of the total FPI equity foreign portfolio investment inflow in India over the last 30 years came in 2020-21. Data from the National Securities Depository Limited or NSDL showed that FPI equity assets soared to a record $650 billion at the end of August this year. The FPI asset had been $255 billion in the year-ago period, and this 26% growth has been attributed to the rally in the domestic equity markets and sustained inflows over the past 12 months. FPIs accounted for nearly one-fifth of the India's market capitalization of over $3.5 trillion in August. The Department of Economic Affairs of the Finance Ministry has released the monthly economic review for the month of August. The report said a broad-based rebound in several leading macroeconomic indicators in July and August offer bright prospects for India's continued economic recovery. Over 22.34 crore people have contracted COVID-19 so far, while recoveries have surpassed the 20 crore mark worldwide. The deadly virus has claimed lives of over 46,11,000 people globally. The US has been witnessing a resurge in the new COVID-19 cases due to the Delta variant of the virus. More than 4 crore 13 lakh cases and over 6,71,000 deaths have been reported in the country. WHO Chief Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus called for a global moratorium on booster COVID-19 vaccine doses until at least the end of the year to enable every country to vaccinate at least 40% of its population. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus on Wednesday said that about 80% of the 5.5 billion vaccine doses that have been administered globally went to high and upper middle income countries. US President Joe Biden will today be presenting a 6-pronged strategy intended to fight the spread of the highly contagious Delta variant and increase COVID-19 vaccinations in the United States. In Australia's Sydney, cafes, restaurants and pubs are set to reopen in the second half of October after months of strict COVID-19 lockdown, according to an exit roadmap published New South Wales state officials. Officials have said bars and eateries as well as gyms across the city will be able to reopen at reduced capacity within days of the state reaching a 70% double vaccination target, now expected around mid of October. Stay-at-home orders for the fully vaccinated will be lifted on Monday after the target is achieved. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas held a productive ministerial meeting on Afghanistan with more than 20 allies and partners. Speaking on evacuation, Blinken said the United States was doing everything in its power to get the flights off the ground, but Taliban was not permitting the flights to depart. Nearly 2 weeks after the Kabul airport bombing that killed 13 Americans, the remains of 2 U.S. servicemen killed in the attack have arrived in their hometowns. The chief of the European Union Border Agency has said that EU is preparing for an influx of Afghans seeking asylum whether or not people flee en masse from the new Taliban government. Panjshiri leader Ahmad Shah Massoud and former Afghan Vice President Amarullah Saleh are still in Afghanistan and the resistance forces are still fighting the Taliban. Afghan students have started returning to university classrooms, but they say they are confused by the changes made to the educational system after the Taliban takeover. Indonesia and Australia have renewed a defence pact and agreed to boost training ties among a series of joint security agreements at a meeting in Jakarta of defence and foreign ministers of both the countries. In Mexico, shaken residents slept in cars and on the streets of the beach resort town of Acapulco yesterday as a series of strong aftershocks rippled through the city after a powerful earthquake that killed one. 7.0 magnitude earthquake hit 17.7 kilometer northeast of Acapulco late on Tuesday. It damaged the control tower of the Beach Resorts International Airport, cracked walls in a hospital attending COVID-19 patients and triggered landslides and gas leaks. Mexico is witnessing severe flooding, which has led to the deaths of 17 people, most of whom had COVID-19 at the hospital in central Mexican state of Hidalgo. Rebellious forces from Tigray region killed 120 civilians over 2 days in a village in Ethiopia's Amhara region. Norway will go to poll this weekend after a national election campaign dominated by climate change and a widening wealth gap. The man projected to become Prime Minister after the September 12-13 ballot, Labour leader Jonas Gahr Støre has pledged to address inequality by offering tax relief to low and middle income families and hiking rates for the rich. Hundreds gathered in Madrid to demand better protections for LGBT rights and vent their fury at a series of suspended homophobic attacks that have rocked Spain in the recent months. North Korea held a nighttime military parade early today. The North had held the parade after midnight to mark the 73rd anniversary of the country's national founding. The city of Loveland, Colorado has agreed to pay $3 million to an elderly woman with dementia who suffered a dislocated shoulder and broken arm while being forcefully arrested for shoplifting last year. The payment settles a federal civil rights lawsuit filed by the family of Karen Garner, 75, against the city and 2 arresting officers. City manager Steve Adams offered a deep and heartfelt apology to Garner and her family. A simple device that attaches to a wheelchair allows even paralyzed people to draw now or paint and express themselves through art, according to its developers. The Enable device is an electronic arm that clamps onto a wheelchair, allowing its users to draw on the floor as they move their chair or handheld on a tabletop. Enable can hold any art tools from 4 to 40 mm in diameter and presses it firmly against the paper, which can be lifted on or off when the artist wants using a Bluetooth remote control switch. The developers say they are now on a mission to challenge stereotypes and reframe disabled artists as simply artists. Nikifor Ivanov, who lives in Yakutsk, a Siberian city built on permafrost, grew a breed of frost-resistant apples the size of berries. Now, since the weather conditions in Yakutia are extreme with winter, temperatures dropping as low as minus 60 degrees Celsius, local plants had to adapt to such an environment by decreasing their size. Well, this was observed by local biologists back in Soviet times, and a new breed of dwarf apples perfectly fit into a matchbox was born. Ivano said he tried to make jams in preparations for the winter from his apples, but since harvesting these micro apples is painstaking and demands much effort, he now just eats them by handfuls. North Korea has opened the National Sculpture and Craftwork Festival in Pyongyang to celebrate the 73rd anniversary of the founding of the country. According to KNCA, officials and residents in face masks were seen milling about admiring the display of sculptures, craftwork and paintings. Over 500 works that were created by the sculptors and craftsmen of art studios, amateurs and students were displayed for the festival that was held at the Okaido Exhibition Hall. The festival will continue until 30th of September. A lyric from John Lennon and Yoko One's Imagine has been projected on buildings around the world to mark 50 years since the late Beatle released the famed track and album. From the Houses of Parliament and St. Paul's Cathedral in London to the Times Square in New York, Imagine All the People Living Life in Peace has been beamed onto the sites to celebrate Thursday's anniversary. Self-taught animator Luazi Masifa wanted to create something adults and kids could enjoy, and the South African's efforts have now won him a coveted spot on satellite TV. With a little help from his friend, Masifa's premise was a cartoon character who was accidentally uploaded into the real world. The pair are then stuck together in what Masifa describes as a Tom and Jerry kind of a situation. My cartoon friend debuted on the Cartoon Network in South Africa last month. Masifa is the first of his compatriots to get a full 13-episode series. Cuban worshippers of Our Lady of Charity honored the country's patron saint using the event to pray for health, peace and relief from a crippling economic crisis. Catholic and non-Catholic Cubans have revered Our Lady of Charity since she was declared the patroness of Cuba by Pope Benedict XV in 1916, right after Cuba's independence war ended. Cubans also prayed to the Virgin of Regla, also known as Yemaya. Tadashi Shoji looked back to the roaring 20s for inspiration for his Spring-Summer 2022 collection debut online at New York Fashion Week on Wednesday. While the event is seeing a return to physical shows this season, the brand opted for pre-recorded digital video releases to present their Spring-Summer women's wear lines. Shoji presented modern takes on the decade styles with an array of colorful dresses adorned with intricate shoulder cut-outs, lace trimmings and sequin fringes. Frocks were floaty, clinched at the waist or embroidered and came in dusty or bold pink hues, greens and blues. Shoji also presented a wedding dress made up of a lace top and a tulle skirt. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today hosted the Indian contingent of Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games at his residence. The contingent included para-athletes as well as coaches. The PM had a candid and informal interaction with the entire contingent. PM congratulated the para-athletes for the record-breaking historic performance at the Games. He said that their achievement will significantly boost the morale of the entire sporting community in the country, and budding sports persons will in fact feel encouraged to come forward to take up sports. The Union Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur has expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his constant support and encouragement towards India's Paralympians. The final match of the 5-test series between India and England will kick-start in Manchester from Friday. The Indian team, currently leading 2-1 in the series, will try to win this match and win the series. However, if Team India makes this match even a draw, it will still win the series. The BCCI has announced Team India's 15-member squad for the T20 World Cup 2021. The T20 World Cup is set to be held in the UAE and Oman from 17th October to 14 November. Led by Virat Kohli, the Indian cricket team includes some fresh faces. R. Ashwin has been included in the team, which will begin its campaign in the showpiece event against arch rivals Pakistan. In US Open, number 1 Novak Djokovic inched closer to a calendar Grand Slam as he reached the semi-finals at the US Open, beating Italian Matteo Berrettini in 4 sets. Djokovic will face number 4 seeded Olympic gold medalist Alexander Zverev in the semi-final clash. British teenager Emma Raducanu became the first qualifier to reach the US Open semi-finals, defeating Olympic champion Belinda Bencic 6-3, 6-4. Raducanu has become only the third woman ranked outside the top 100 to reach a US Open semi-final. In FIFA World Cup qualifiers, England had to be content with a 1-1 draw against Poland, whereas Italy beat Lithuania 5-0 to extend their invincible streak to 37 matches. Germany defeated Iceland 4-0, while Spain defeated Kosovo 2-0 to retain the top spot in Group B. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has questioned the international match calendar, saying that there were too many meaningless games and that such a structure was unsustainable for the health of the players and the global game. The International Olympic Committee has suspended North Korea until the end of 2022 after it failed to send a team to the Tokyo Games. The suspension means the country will miss out on the Beijing Winter Games. North Korea did not send a delegation to the Tokyo Games. Salman Khan, Varun Dhawan and Ayush Sharma have dropped the biggest surprise for fans with their song Vighnaharta from Antim, the final shoot. Veteran star Dharmendra is super happy to be on the sets of his upcoming film Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani. The actor shared the news on his Instagram account. Radhika Madan and Diana Penty's film Shiddat has got a new release date. It will be out on 1st of October on Disney Plus Hotstar. The fans of horror comedy have a reason to cheer. Saif Ali Khan and Jacqueline Fernandez starrer Bhoot Police is going to release tomorrow on Disney Plus Hotstar. Owen Wilson has joined the cast of Haunted Mansion, Disney's family adventure Spookfest based on one of the company's signature theme park ideas. American actor Jamie Lee Curtis was honored with the Golden Lion Award for Lifetime Achievement at the Venice Film Festival on Wednesday. Veteran Star Trek actor George Takei was among the stars of the legendary science fiction television show who gathered in LA on Wednesday to mark the 55th anniversary of the original show. On the occasion of Star Trek Day, makers dropped the release date and first trailer of Season 2 of Star Trek Picard. The new storyline will release in February 2022. The wait is finally over. Actors Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are all set to save the world from environmental issues through Netflix's film Don't Look Up. The makers have released a teaser trailer of the film. Hit Disney animation Frozen has come to the London stage, officially opening as the West End musical on Wednesday in a theatre newly restored by composer Andrew Lloyd Webber. That's it in this edition of Express News. We are going to be back tomorrow same time with the top 100 news of the day. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.